gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's February the 3rd, 2023. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined today by a full house, Matt Shodell, Stephen Wagner, and Azubi Charles as we play Hollywood Squares. Dun, 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 dun.
Stephen and Azubi
We don't know what that is.
Da-da-da-da-da.
We have no idea what that is.
I know. I was just gonna say that. Hollywood Squares was a game show back probably about the time you guys were you guys might not have even been born yet. When was that show, Matt? Was that 80s, 7? I don't know. But
We're 99 kids.
I know. But they would have like 20 squares up on the screen, and there would be a star in every square, and they would play a game called Hollywood Squares. And don't ask me to remember what the rules of the game were or whatever, but it was pretty cool. It was, they had all pretty decent names, celebrities all playing the game. And it was a big popular game show. This is not a game show. Today we're talking news of the day. And we've got a couple things to talk about, but one of them is we did a sort of staff debate on how much offensive coordinator Josh Gaddis has or has not set back the Miami program. His failure has or has not set back the Miami program. So we have a story on the website, and we also recorded a special show. It's not Good Morning CaneSport, but it is a special about that feature that is in a separate video that's on the website this morning, also on our YouTube channel. So make sure you check that out and hear the scintillating commentary of the four amigos here on the Josh Gaddis subject. But the story that we're going to start off with here for the purposes of this show is we have begun an exercise. And I know we've undertaken a lot of exercises lately. It's January and February. We're getting ready for spring practice. So we're taking deep dives into every nook and cranny of this football program and football team. And we are projecting the depth charts and trying to forecast the potential results of that depth chart, position by position. Today, we begin with the quarterback position, and Matt Shodell, you pulled this together. Thank you very much. We're going to try to poke holes in it. We'll see how we do. But you started out with a projected depth chart of the starter, Tyler Van Dyke. I don't think there's any question about that. Ja'Cory Brown, you picked him second team over true freshman Emory Williams. Obviously, no mystique over who's going to be the starter. Tell us a little bit about why you picked Ja'Cory to beat out Emory Williams to be the backup quarterback in 2023.
Well, first of all, you mentioned Hollywood Squares being the game show in the old days. My son told me that the new reality show I had to watch is called Too Hot to Handle Season 4. And Azubi likes that show. Azubi, yeah, that's your kind of show. And when I tell you that show is a little bit better than Hollywood Squares, it's a little bit better than Hollywood Squares. I got to tell you. I'm on like episode 5. I just have to watch it when my wife's not home. So, it's slow going. I watch like 5 minutes a night. But anyway, moving on. The big picture at quarterback on offense, to me, it was weird. Like I read a story that made me think of the Miami offense yesterday. The headline was a CBS story. It said, "Woman mistakenly pronounced dead was found alive in body bag." And that's like the Miami offense. The Miami offense has been declared dead, and now it's on these quarterbacks that we're talking about today and on this offensive coordinator, which we talked about in the roundtable, to bring it back to life. And, the good news is apparently this is in Iowa where the lady was in the body bag. You know how much you get fined in Iowa if you put a dead person in a body bag who's actually alive? You know what their fine was, the funeral home, for doing that? $10,000. Apparently, that's That's all a human life is worth in Iowa. It's $10,000.
How often does that happen for them to have a set fine for that? That's my question.
I mean, if Mario was smart, he'd put Josh Gaddis in a body bag. That way, the buyout's just $10,000 instead of $4 million, $2 million, whatever the hell they're trying to get out of. I don't know.
I don't think there's a buyout. I don't think it's necessary. I don't think
there's not going to be a buyout.
But
if there was a buyout, I think the body bag's the way to go because we said we thought he was dead. Look at the offense last year. You know, it was dead. We put it in a body bag. We'll pay the $10,000 fine. We're sorry. And then you move on. Like, it's not that big a deal. But I guess I shouldn't make light of some woman being put in a body bag when they thought she was dead. And apparently she was alive. So anyway, getting back to the quarterbacks, Jakari is ahead of Emory Williams for a simple reason. You know, Emory did not play. Yeah, I'm a big believer that, like Francis Mauigoa, if he was the exact same player, like if he had an identical twin who was playing in Massachusetts at Samson Oklahoma School and they were identical twins, I think Francis Mauigoa would be better prepared to play as a true freshman because he was at IMG Academy. Like, I'm sorry to Braintree. I think that's where the area where Samson played. Like, that's just what I believe because I'm a big believer as a major high school athlete who tried to avoid any sort of difficult situations on the field in baseball. You know, I'm a big believer that your competition and your coaching at the high school level will prepare you or not prepare you to play as a true freshman. And IMG runs almost a college level program. There are colleges that don't have the same personnel options or personnel expertise as IMG has. IMG literally has a full-fledged media relations department that's bigger than many colleges out there, okay? Like, just to give you a sense. Whereas in Braintree, like Samson Oklahoma, if you watch his tape, he just picks up a defensive lineman and puts him gently to the side, goes to the linebacker, picks him up and puts him to the side, and the running back runs straight ahead. You can't do that at IMG with the schedule they play. So with that said, like Emory Williams was at the Braintree version of quarterback school because the program he went to was 3-7. The program he went to did not have very good competition. The program he went to had a defense that couldn't stop anybody. And the offense did okay. You know, he put up decent numbers against a really good team from Georgia that I think wound up in the state title game over there. Like, he's super talented, but there's a big transition for any high school player to college. And it's even bigger when you're not coming from IMG, when you're not coming from American Heritage, when you're not coming from IMG Central, and Emory Williams is not. So even though Jakari did not look real good last year, okay, passing the ball, at least he now is in the system of college. At least he knows what is expected of him at this level of performance. And yeah, he wasn't ready to play as a true freshman. He shouldn't have played last year. We talked to his private quarterbacks coach who bemoaned all of his problems mechanically, but said, listen, he has a whole year to get it all fixed. You know, it'll work out. But Josh Gaddis just threw him out there. You know, Frank Ponce just threw him out there. He wasn't ready. And when you throw a guy out there who's not ready, that's what you get. It was a disservice to him because they panicked when Jake Garcia, you know, kept throwing interceptions and fumbling the ball. And they didn't have another quarterback on the roster, you know, that wasn't named Peyton Matocha. So this is what you got. I think it'll be a much different Jakari Brown this year. I really strongly feel that. I don't think he should have been playing last year at all. And his private quarterback coach will be the first one to tell you that. You know, it's just Miami desperation mode, like when they take all Gary's transfers, like it was desperation mode. They're like, what can we do? You know, Tyler's hurt. Jake Garcia's throwing interceptions, getting sacked, and holding the ball too long. Well, we only have one other guy. Just send him out there and see what he can do. If you remember, Jakari he couldn't even run a play the first couple of games. I mean, there was literally, they called timeouts because he didn't even know who to line up where, you know, like that's the truth. So cut the kid some slack, give him a pass for last year. He's clearly, to me, the second teamer.
You're ready to make this proclamation before you see him throw a single ball in spring practice.
That's right. Because I'm a believer. I'm a positive person, Gary. I'm like you.
All right, Azubi, you were out there with us all season. You know, you saw the ups and downs of Jakari Brown. Do you, by default, make him the backup quarterback right now, going into spring practice, just purely based on the fact that Emory Williams is coming out of high school?
Yeah, 100%. I have to give him that second string position until Emory proves it over and wins. Because like Matt said, Emory Williams was playing high school football in Milton, Florida, and Jakari Brown was going against a Clemson defense. So just by that, I think I'm giving the edge to Jakari, just having that, year of college experience, year playing in big college football games over a high school that's, 2 months out of coming from algebra 4 math class. So by default, I'm giving that to Jakari Brown.
Well, not surprising. I want to see something first. The entire year last year, from the time that camp began and you really, I mean, we watched Jakari out there and we saw a kid that was very erratic throwing the football and really, really, really struggled. And I pointed that out last year. It was a little bit of a toxic subject. Some people didn't really want to believe me on that and accept it. But I think as the season went on and they saw how erratic he really was, they began to understand better what we saw. Now, I'm not so convinced that Emory Williams can't beat him out. And Stephen, you're a film guy. So I'm going to turn it over to you right here, and I'm going to pop some Emory Williams highlights. I haven't pre-screened these, so no promises. I hope they're good, but I want you to take a look at Emory Williams's tape here, and I want you to talk a little bit about what you see, because I think this kid can really sling the rock, and I think he's a very accurate thrower, and already coming out of high school is a significantly better passer than Jakari Brown, the Jakari Brown that we saw last year. And for that reason, I think he can challenge him from day one to be the backup quarterback this season. So, Stephen, I'm going to give you the floor here for a minute to just comment a little bit on what you're seeing here with Emory Williams' tape.
Yeah, so I did have a good chance to break down a fair amount of his tape, and he's definitely good. There's definitely talent there. There's a reason why he's going to play quarterback at Miami. He's got a good arm, good accuracy. He anticipates throws well. His ball placement is really, really good. But you'll notice something really consistent in all of these plays is that he's playing from a clean pocket. And especially at the high school level, where more times than not, you're going to be going up against defenses that you're strictly, just more talented than whenever you're a 3-star quarterback recruit. A clean pocket is going to allow you to just pick defense.
That is not a clean pocket.
Okay, that's the first not clean. I swear to God.
I'm not seeing clean pockets.
That was the first not clean pocket that we've had. But he's good. He's a good quarterback. I do like him. I think he will have success. But so many of these, like this play right here, he does end up scrambling, but that's because he held the ball for so long in a clean pocket and then just eventually just kind of bought time until he could make this throw. Even here, the pockets, it squeezes a little bit, but he steps up and he makes a good throw. But look at the defenses that he's playing against. None of ththese defenses are really remarkable, and he's not going up against a pass rush that's really daunting and threatening. He doesn't have, a 6'5", 300-pound defensive lineman staring down the barrel at him like Jakari Brown did at whenever they played against Florida State, whenever he had to go in against Clemson, whenever he was put in a lot of these positions that were really, really impossible. And whenever I got hired here, one of the first things that I did was I went back and I looked through the 40-minute cut-ups of all of the different games that Miami had last season. And you see in so many of these instances, Jakari was asked to go in and just provide some sort of a spark, use his legs, try to do something. Or it was an instance where they were like, Tyler Van Dyke's hurt. Jake Garcia is not working out. We got to do something here. So for a lot of different reasons, I'm still leaning with Jakari, even though I do think Emory Williams has some talent. But I think definitely some of this has to come through, or has to come from the fact that Jakari's played at the college level for a season. Emory hasn't. And like Matt said, competition does matter.
And by the way, 3 of his first 7 throws are intercepted by athletic linebackers. So, there's that also. In the college level, at the college
I
level.
see a kid in Emory Williams that can make, most throws out there right now coming into the program. So I'm going to be very interested to see what it looks like now with college talent around him. And I'm also going to be very interested to see if Ja'Cory Brown has worked on his throwing over the last few months and comes back in March better than he was in December, in November. And that'll be a big issue. All right. So the next part of this exercise was grading Miami's quarterback talent. We break down all three quarterbacks. And at the end of the day, you give the quarterback position at Miami an A-, just on pure talent. I don't understand how you came up with a grade that high.
Well, you might be right. I mean, look, I'm a big believer in Tyler Van Dyke. People misunderstood last year when I said I want to see Jake Garcia. It was because to me the season was a waste already, and I want to know what's happening after Tyler Van Dyke. That's the only reason I said that. I'm a big believer in Tyler Van Dyke. I think he's an outstanding quarterback. I think he's going to be one of the top 3 or 4 quarterbacks in the ACC. If they get a free agent receiver, he might be the top 1 or 2 quarterbacks in the ACC this year. He's really, really good. So that's an A+. Okay. Ja'Cory, again, he shouldn't have been put in those positions last year. They knew that he really couldn't throw the ball worth anything. I wasn't saying to put Ja'Cory in. I was saying put Jake Garcia in. I don't think Ja'Cory should have played last year. I think it was a disservice to him. Like I'm a big baseball guy. So, you bring a baseball guy up from the minors to the majors too early, it can ruin their careers. It's a mental mind F. And that's basically what Ja'Cory has to deal with now, because every time he steps on the field this spring and fall and next year, he's going to just be thinking about, why couldn't I throw an accurate pass last year? It gets in your head. It's not that he didn't have the yips, but like that's what the yips are based on. It's just you're mentally like freaking out. And, hopefully this is not something where Josh Gaddis has set back Ja'Cory for an indeterminate amount of time. We're going to start finding out this spring. He's one of the more interesting ones to watch in terms of how he's thrown the ball. I think he'll be a lot better as a passer and a lot more comfortable no matter what the offense is. But then with Emory, look, Emory chose Miami over USF. Emory never wound up getting a solid Florida State offer. Emory had 16 total offers, the vast majority of them from FCS programs. There's a reason for that. Like, you can put on these highlights all you want, Gary, but like I said earlier, this is not top level of opponents he's playing. And Gary astutely pointed out that there was no real pressure on most, or Stephen pointed out, that there was no real pressure on most of them. There were 3 passes where, these little tiny 5'8" linebackers tried to reach up and just barely missed getting their hands on passes. And look, the guy's got a great arm. The guy's got, pretty good mechanics, and the guy can throw accurate passes in a clean pocket. That was more than Ja'Cory showed last year. So I guess that's good. But I don't think he's ready. Just like Ja'Cory wasn't ready last year, I don't think Emory Williams should play this year. That's just my opinion. Coming from that program, watching what I've seen, I think he needs to redshirt and not even play in 4 games unless we're going to have him hand off, or maybe just throw some garbage passes against, who are they playing, Troy or whoever the hell they're playing this year. Like some of those, 1 or 2 series, throw a pass or 2 with a couple of screens or something. Like nothing crazy. Because he just needs to take this year to get better. And again, when you're in the 2 deep, and sometimes in the 3 deep, you're in game mode. You're not in redshirt mode. The red shirts spend a lot more time in the weight room and have certain goals to achieve, knowing from coaches, I'm not going to play this year, or if I play, I'll just be in garbage minutes for the 4 games I get. My goal, I have to gain 20 pounds of muscle. My goal, I have to work on these specific mechanics on my free time, whatever it is. They're not setting game film. They're not doing walkthroughs. They're not doing all this other stuff that you have to do other than being on scout team out there. So it's a whole different situation when you're redshirting. I hope that they do that for Emory, because he needs it, in my opinion.
Zuby, your opinion matters more than any of us, because you played the game. Okay, you were actually a receiver. Okay, and you've had a chance to watch Ja'Cory Brown as a true freshman. You just now watched 5 minutes of Emory Williams throwing a whole variety of passes on the high school football field. Who do you want throwing the ball to you?
I'm just, like I said, I'm going to have to go with Ja'Cory again because of that college experience, and he's been there in those big game situations. I mean, I can't compare playing versus Clemson to a random school in Pensacola like Emory was doing the past few months. So just based off, college experience, and obviously Jakari had his struggles throwing last year. I remember seeing him during the fall camp, and I think when his first pass of the season was a dud. When it was just a kind of a screen pass, I was like, this is going to be a long season for him. But like you mentioned, he wasn't really supposed to play last year. So hopefully this year two, he gets, that jolt that second year players gets. Everything starts clicking for him, and he just takes that next step. But I'm gonna have to go with Jakari again on that one instead of a true freshman.
All right. So let's ask you this. Does it all the talent that you've seen from those two guys plus Tyler Van Dyke, does it add up to an A- grade to you?
I wouldn't say I would say a B. I'd give it an 85 out of 100.
About a solid 85 out of 100? How about you, Steven?
Probably put a little bit lower than that, maybe like an 80, maybe like the 80, 81-ish range, but not too far off. I think we're more or less.
Let me ask you three geniuses this question. Do you think Tyler Van Dyke a year ago
he's an A.
Was a Heisman candidate?
He's an A.
Yeah, 100%.
If you don't have Tyler Van Dyke on this roster, and you have some other guy who hasn't done a heck of a lot, it's a C- or a D. But you play one quarterback. This isn't the offensive line. We need 7 or 8 guys. This is quarterback. You just need depth at quarterback. Is one great guy, and then if you really need a backup, you got a backup. And Jakari, we know he can have the running aspect. He's going to be better as a passer. You both think that. Well, I don't know if Gary doesn't. I don't even know what that is.
That's the number of stories
I'm doing the math.
So I'm
giving Tyler Van Dyke an A. I'm giving the other two guys a C. Jakari because he didn't play very well. Emery because he hasn't done anything yet. It's an A, 2 C's.
Listen,
that's a 2.66. That is a C+.
Listen, Ferman, you haven't gone to college since 1923. So let me explain something to you. I'm the professor who did the grading, okay? And I have a certain regimen that determines your grade. Just like when you were in grammar school.
We let you do this grade too, and you're like all out of whack.
Just like
you gave them an A-. It's a C+, period.
Just like you're in grammar school, which apparently you weren't able to graduate from that level because you don't understand this. Just like in grammar school, okay, you have 10 assignments you have to turn in. If you turn all 10 in, you get an A for your homework grade just for turning them in. And then the quality of them is graded on a different scale, okay? So what I'm trying to tell you is this. My scale, what I did at quarterback is I said great depth at any program in the country at this particular position is having an amazing starting quarterback and then a backup who's going to be a plus, not an even or a minus. I think Jakari's a plus. I'm sorry. And you have an amazing quarterback. To me, that's an A-. That's right. How I graded it.
Then,
I'm not grading it any other way.
Defend this, Mr. Wise Guy. All right, so then, okay.
Why are you calling Azubi and Steven Mr. Wise Guy? It's so rude.
No, I'm talking to you. I am talking to you right now. All right, so you gave the talent an A-, and then you graded the depth.
Yeah.
And admittedly did a very, eloquent breakdown of the depth. But then you give them a depth grade of a C. So Correct. How can you be an A- grade for talent and then be a C on depth?
Because I'm trying to explain to you the difference. Do you know the difference between talent and depth, Gary? The talent is the talent you need to win right now at quarterback. They have it. It's an A-. They have Tyler Van Dyke, who I think is one of the best quarterbacks in the country. If, God forbid, something happens, they have Jakari, who I think is going to be better. But there's no depth behind that. Like, depth to me means you've got 4 to 5 years of guys where you're like, man, these guys are going to be amazing. We have the greatest depth in the world. They don't have that. Tyler's gone after this year, in my opinion. They have no depth. They have no depth.
Buying what you're selling, Matt. How about you guys? You guys buying what he's selling?
I'm picking up what he's putting down.
Yeah, I'm on the Matt train. I can't believe it on that one. Now that you've explained,
I'll buy a piece of real estate. I'll buy a piece of real estate in Shodell land.
And that feature goes on to take a look at a projection of the results that the quarterbacks are going to get. And
hey, just quick question, Steven, how much are you offering for the piece of real estate? I'm just asking for a friend.
Depends how much Gary's going to pay me.
Well, looking at the potential results and the overall position performance, I know I'm expecting a big year from Tyler Van Dyke this year. I think Mario Cristobal is going to bring in a coordinator that he knows will put in the type of offense that will allow Tyler Van Dyke to shine. And they're improved at the skill positions. I'm getting absolutely rave reports about Ray Joseph already on the practice field as emerging as just a dynamo out there, a kid that already is playing as hard as anybody on this football team. I think they've recruited very well to tight end position. Still a little light in terms of elite receivers, but I am expecting Miami's offense to do a lot better this year, and Tyler Van Dyke hopefully stay healthy and put up big numbers. So we encourage everybody, take a look at that quarterback feature today. We think you'll enjoy picking apart Matt's different breakdowns of the position, just like we did. In the meantime, guys, for you youngins, it's a little blurry, but you'll get a general idea of what Hollywood Squares. God, I didn't realize this picture was going to be so blurry, but that's kind of like what it looked like, and it was kind of like a tic-tac-toe type of game they played. I don't remember exactly how they did it, but each of those squares that you see just like had a different celebrity in it, just like
Azubi and Steven wanted the hot or not up there, but whatever, man. You want Hollywood Squares, so that's
It's kind of like the Brady Bunch when they do the intro where everyone's kind of like moving around.
All right, we got a few more things to talk about today, but first we're going to hear from our friends at Life Wallet, with deference to the two young guys below me in choice of commercial.
Hey sis, want to play one-on-one? What about 3-on-3? Let's do it. You're not Haley. Wait a minute.
Life Wallet user not detected.
I knew it.
Secure your health information and privacy with Life Wallet. Life Wallet. Saving time, saving lives.
All right, memo to the Cavender twins. Azubi and Steven, they like to hang out at the wharf. So if, in your free time, wander on over there and say hello. All right. I think I'm getting myself in trouble there. All right. Let's see. What should we talk about next? We take a look today at 5 top recruits that Miami has a real chance with in the 2024 cycle. Steven, this was your contribution today. You got Josiah Trader, Boo Carter, Chance Robinson, Vincent Shavers from True Prep Academy in Miami Gardens, and Kensley Faustin from Naples High School, a safety. Shavers is a linebacker. Chance Robinson is a wide receiver at St. Thomas Aquinas. Boo Carter, a safety from Chattanooga, Tennessee. And, of course, Josiah Trader, the great 5-star receiver from Hollywood Chaminade. Go ahead, Steven, explain yourself on how you came up with these 5 guys.
Yeah, so a lot of this is stuff that came out of, I think it was last weekend or maybe even the weekend before that. I don't know. The days are all kind of blurring together. When me and Azubi went down to the Battle Miami 7-on-7 tournament, we were able to talk with a lot of these kids, get a lot of FaceTime with these kids. And we've been hearing, or I've at least been hearing quite a bit over the last couple of weeks that, these are kids that are kind of trending in the positive direction. Trader, he told Chad Simmons from On3 that Miami feels like home. Miami's definitely in a really, really good position with him. He likes the idea of staying local. Just one thing that he does want to see from them is he wants to see progress this year. He needs to see the Canes take that step forward, which I think they're going to. I think they'll be either an 8-win or maybe a 9-win team, depending on how they end up doing in the bowl game that I definitely think they're going to end up in. So Trader's definitely a guy that I've got up there. Boo Carter, he's a safety. He's actually being recruited at running back for Miami. He told me that he would be willing to take an official visit to Miami, which immediately is going to put the Canes in pretty good standing with him. He's a guy who we had the chance to see him at Battle, And even though he's been a safety for most of his life, whenever he gets a chance to get the ball in his hands, he's really dynamic and he is a little bit of a game changer. And he told me that one of the things that he really, really likes about Miami is that since he's going to be playing running back, it's important to him to be playing behind a good offensive line and play for a coach who values that offensive line. And that's obviously been Mario Cristobal's identity for so long. Kensley Faustin, he's a safety from Naples. Really, really talented kid. I think he would make a fantastic nickel safety. He's got a fantastic skill set. He's about 5'11", really fast, great nose for the ball. What really impresses me the most about him is his ability to both lock up defenders in man-to-man coverage, but he also looks comfortable in zone. And that is kind of becoming, almost sort of like a less and less common thing to find. I mean, you even saw it with, some of the top cornerbacks in last year's class, like Robert Stafford, really good in man-to-man, struggled a little bit more in zone coverage. I think Kensley's a guy who's really good at that. And he's a guy who said that he's willing to kind of do whatever it takes to get on the field sooner. For him, playing time is definitely going to be like kind of the biggest factor in his commitment. Miami's told him that they like his mindset. They like the fact that they like his mindset enough that they think that it'll give him a chance to come in and play early. They think he's someone who can come in and compete. But there's a lot of other programs that have told him he can come in and play right away too. Texas A&M is going to be one to watch. Auburn and Arkansas, they're not necessarily the highest on his list, but they've also told him that they think he can come in and play. So there's quite a few options on the table for Faustin. And then we've also got Chance Robinson, really, really talented wide receiver, likes Miami a lot. And what really impressed me the most about him, or I shouldn't really say impressed, but kind of what intrigued me the most about him is whenever I talked to him, he kind of said that the offensive coordinator, the wide receivers coach, that's not really going to be the be all end all whenever he's considering a program, which, really kind of scratched my head because whenever I talked to him was whenever, Josh Gaddis's future with Miami was still kind of up in the air and everyone was kind of scratching their heads at what was going to go on. And he said, I'm sure they'll bring in a good OC. I'm sure they'll bring in someone good. He's got a lot of faith in Mario Cristobal. He likes the Canes. He likes the coaching staff. Chance Robinson's a guy who I think is trending in a positive direction for Miami, and I think he's going to be someone that Miami fans are going to want to keep an eye on. 4-star wideout from St. Thomas here in Fort Lauderdale, just right up the street. I had a chance to go down to Miami, and it seems like all the vibes are good in Coral Gables for Chance Robinson.
Zuby, you got anybody you want to add to Steven's list?
I think Steven hit the hammer on the nail here with that one. Most of those guys on the list are pretty good guys that I think Miami's doing well with in that 2024 group. Another guy I would add to that list is Zaquan Patterson from Chaminade Madonna as well. He recently took that trip to Miami. When I spoke with him about that trip, he said out of all the times he visited Miami, that was probably by far the best time he's had there, honestly, because he felt like he was a priority when he was there. He really got to sit down and talk to Coach Mario Cristobal about everything, not even just football, about how they set up their players at Miami for any career path they want to pursue after football. And that's really what he loved about that. He said Coach Cristobal was the best coach he's spoken to about breaking down, internships for the kids, different, programs they set them up with if they want to do real estate, if they want to do business, anything they want to do. So Zaquan is a guy that I think Miami is in a real good spot with right now as well.
So trending well for Trader, trending well for Zaquan out of Hollywood Chaminade. How about Jeremiah, guys? Can Miami turn this Jeremiah thing around here over the next, I guess they got 11 months to do it. What do you think of Zuby?
I think production is going to be that biggest thing. Because Ohio State's selling point is, look, you come to Columbus, you play 3 years of wide receiver, you become a first-round NFL draft pick. And that's really, really hard to sway a kid away from, going to the NFL because at the end of the day, that's their goal. So I feel like if Miami does an outstanding job this upcoming year showing that next step, and hopefully a guy like Ray comes in and, is all ACC freshman team type of guy, say, hey, that's a local guy from South Florida that stayed home and did really well. And the cherry on top of, if Miami ends up getting a commitment from Trader, he's, in his guy's ear, his best friend since they were, in diapers, hey, come stay home with me, come to Miami. So I feel like combination of production, if they're able to land Trader and just a few other things, and they should be in good shape with Smith, I believe.
All right. Stephen, you also had an opportunity yesterday to talk to a young man by the name of Mike Williams. He's from Baltimore, Maryland. He's a 2024 offensive tackle. He visited Miami last weekend and walked out of there. This is a kid that's also got offers from like South Carolina, Alabama, Auburn, USC, North Carolina, clearly on his way to being one of the better offensive linemen in the country. He walked out of his Miami visit last weekend pretty high on Mario Cristobal, Alex Mirabal, and the Hurricanes. Tell us a little bit about it.
He loves Miami. This is a kid who, I previously didn't have him on the list whenever I wrote that story on those 5 recruits who are kind of trending in the right direction for Miami. Mike Williams is absolutely 100% someone who needs to be included in that conversation. I think he's even in contention to be Miami's next commit. After he came off this visit, I had the chance to talk with him, and he was raving about Miami. He called it O-line heaven. And the standard now with all the other programs that he's planning on visiting, he's also planning on visiting South Carolina, North Carolina, a couple other programs in the spring, is can they coach better than Mario Cristobal and Alex Mirabal? That's the standard that he's setting. He's going to go on these other visits and be looking for, do I think that you can be better than Cristobal and Mirabal? They are becoming the bar for him. He loves Miami. He loved the visit that he took. He even said, Miami's not really a campus; it's more like a resort, which I definitely take as a positive thing for the Canes. What really sold him, I think, was kind of that history that Cristobal and Mirabal have of producing, really elite offensive linemen. You look at that offensive line that they put together at Oregon that, one season coming into the year, they were kind of touted as, potentially being the best offensive line in the country. Preseason watch list for I forget what the name of it is, but the best offensive line of the year award. He wants to be a part of that, and he sees the job that they've done in recruiting and bringing over Francis Malgoa from IMG and bringing in Samson Okinola, 2 5-star offensive tackles who, really look like they can be foundational pieces of this rebuilt offensive line. And he really loves everything that the Canes have going for them right now. I definitely think they're at the top of his list. He also likes South Carolina quite a bit, but like I said, South Carolina is now going to be in a position where they have to prove that they are better than Miami and they can coach and develop him better than Mario Cristobal and Alex Mirabal can.
All right, Azubi, you've been on the basketball and baseball beat a little bit this week as well, and the Hurricanes baseball team is picked by league coaches to win the Coastal. We've got a story about that on the website. And we also have your story on Hurricanes All-American closer Andrew Walters, who's fired up for the 2023 season. And they're taking a look at him as a starting pitcher, Azubi. Tell us a little bit about it. And is it the right move by Coach Gino Damari?
Yeah, so when we spoke with Coach Gino Damari during the baseball availability a couple of days ago, his biggest thing was, hey, I love what we have in the bullpen, but I want these guys to go longer to relieve the rest of the bullpen. And when that topic was brought up to Andrew, he's all about it. He's that guy that, hey, I'm kind of in a leadership role right now. I'm doing whatever it takes to, take this team to Omaha this year, because obviously Miami had that exit early in the regional round last year, losing on their home diamond last year, losing on their home turf. So they kind of are ready to get that bad taste out of their mouth. And the whole team, every guy we've talked to, has said, hey, we're doing whatever it takes. If I have to go 1,000,000 innings, I'll do that for my guy. So really excited to see what Walters and the rest of that pitching staff does. And he's also being joined by his younger brother this year. That's a pretty cool thing to look out this year for the Hurricanes baseball team.
And the basketball team is getting on a plane today to go to Clemson to play the ACC leaders right now on the road. And man, this game on Saturday, Azubi, is going to tell us a lot about this team, I think, and how serious of a contender they are in March Madness. If they can go on the road and take care of Clemson and prove that they are what I believe they are, which is the best team in the ACC that screwed up its season with close losses on the road, if they can go prove they can win one on the road here Saturday, that's going to be a big confidence booster as March gets closer and closer.
Yeah, the game tomorrow for that Hurricanes men's basketball team up in Clemson is going to be huge. You know, Clemson's sitting at the top of the ACC right now, the number one team in the conference. They're fresh off a loss to Boston College, so they're going to come in hungry. Sold-out crowd up there in Clemson. Miami hasn't done too well. Their last 3 Saturdays on the road, they've lost by 1-possession games. And, Coach Aranega said there's 2 keys to letting that happen again. He said not turn the ball over, no fouls late. So really got to see how the Hurricanes team handles it down the stretch if it's another close game like that, to see if they can kind of end that 3-game loser streak, especially on Saturdays, which I think is the weirdest thing. It's the same day away. It's kind of odd, but hopefully the Hurricanes can get over that little hump and, beat the best team in the ACC to prove that, hey, we could be the top dogs in the conference this year as well.
All 1-possession games, all those games. Crazy.
Insane.
They are like so razor thin margin away from being at the top of the conference and probably being in the top 5 in the rankings. So this is a good basketball team, and they just got to tighten it up just a little bit. And I think they got to find one more guy to step up and, round out. They got a big advantage with 4 guys that can score, but of those, the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th guys, they need 1 or 2 of those to step up and get better here in the last month of the season if they are really going to make a serious run in March. All right, that's going to do it for today for Good Morning CaneSport. If you like this show, like our YouTube channel, hit your subscribe button, hit your like button. It helps us with the algorithms at YouTube to grow our audience. And if you're not yet a subscriber to CaneSport.com, please hustle on over. Take advantage of our introductory special, $29.99. Takes you all the way up to the start of the football season in September. So for Azubi Charles, Stephen Wagner, and Matt Shodell, I'm Gary Ferman. You guys have a great day, and we'll see you next time.